Hello and welcome in, everyone. We are live today with the first semi-final of the Workshop Wars, which is Duduzhu versus Overtaken. The winner of this matchup will face off in the final against the winner of Ola Dushek versus Freakin' Andy. As far as I'm aware, that set has not been scheduled just yet, or if it has been scheduled, there has been no activity in the confirmed channels chat. So I will follow up on that after the stream today. Hey Chipmunk, welcome in. Don't stream snipe later, but for now you're of course free to watch, as I will be casting you versus Otter live after this set. But for now, let's focus on the Duduzhu versus Overtaken set. About to do my first handbook stream with Arbase right now. Ooh, that sounds good. Like, Arbase is a professional handbook reader. So definitely make sure you learn some things there. Although I'm pretty sure no one will listen to the audio version of the handbook reading either, because reading handbooks is for losers. Ooh, that would be nice. That would be very nice if you could rate me afterwards, but enjoy your handbook stream regardless. Let's focus now on the Duduzhu versus Overtaken set here, as we will start on Trauma Pit. Afterwards, we will go to either Quick Mats or Trade Seas, which are Duduzhu's home maps. Trade Seas notorious for just being one big water battle. Quick Mats notorious for quite a lot of things, but I think we will see quite a few militia in Dark Age to try to control all the various workshops that spawn there. And then for Overtaken, the Huangshuang Mountain Madness, which is notorious for villager fighting, and Bog Aftermath, which is also notorious for water fights. So lots of water fights, lots of vil fighting potential here. For Duduzhu, with the Huns, Burmese, Khitans, Italians, Berbers, and Vikings, I think Vikings, especially on trade seas, could be dangerous, but of course we'll need to make it to Castle Age to get access to the longboats. Same could be said for Bog Aftermath, could also be played there, although I think it's a bit more of a full water map sifts, whereas Italians, for example, would probably be better on Bog Aftermath. Huns is potentially quite strong for the Quick Mats map there. And then Berbers could go very well for Huangshuang Mountain Madness, as the faster moving villagers will give you a slight advantage there in villager fighting. And for Overtaken, Koreans first pick. I'm not sure where to play them. I would say maybe Quick Mats with the line of sight could be nice. The Taurus is also very nice for Huangshuang Mountain Madness. Bohemians could also be nice for Huangshuang Mountain Madness. I think Dravidians Malay is more obviously for either Great Seas or Bog Aftermaths, and Mapuche could also be something I could see on Huangshuang Mountain Madness, or Trauma Pit. Trauma Pit also very, very nice there. But without further ado, I have the game here set up. Game number 1 is going to be Trauma Pit. And it is indeed the Mapuche for Overtaken, and it will be the Burmese or Duduzhu. And here we go. So in the blue, we will have Duduzhu playing as the Burmese. It's already pushing in a dare at 14 seconds in game time. And Or Overtaken playing as the Mapuche, already pushing in a deer there as well. The deers spawn relatively close to the TC, as you can see. And Overtaken already starting off with the settlement. For Duduzhu as well, but Duduzhu only sending in the second villager now. Whereas Overtaken has already 2 villagers chopping wood before the settlement is even complete. So he really wants to chop and get out. And I think the first tree here especially can be chopped with 3 villagers. But afterwards it has to be 2 because of the villager bumping. And I would send this one maybe to the other side. As we have Duduzhu here with 2 villagers on 1 tree. It will be a bit later perhaps, but so far just pushing in there, no real aggression. Overtaken needs to realize that his house is unfinished. Or at least will have to realize that eventually. Although he still has plenty of pop space, because of course the settlement also gives some pop space for the Mapuche, if I'm not mistaken. Or am I just being stupid? And here we have a villager coming all the way back from the wood line. I would have thought that would have been a town center villager. It feels like an awful lot of walking time for the wood chopping villager. But a little bit more about the map though. There is no gold in the middle. There is some stone for the players available. But 0 gold in the middle. There will be 4 trade workshops on the outside. And all of these workshops will give you a trickle of resources. And welcome in Otter One as well. I hope you are also not here to stream snipe. Although you are a bit early for that. As we have Overtaken here being relatively close to the final tree to chop out. Although Duduzhu is quite close as well. But for now it's relative standard Dark Age. And you saw the rest on Gansky's live stream. Yeah, I figured he did it live, but since I haven't seen the results yet, I kind of wanted to not spoil myself and just cast the set instead. But relatively close here. Relatively close here as well. And Duduzhu getting a bit too close to the EC there. With his scout. There is also a barracks here. A second champy has been created, which means like Loom can come in now, or Fletching can come in, but not both. And usually what we see is Loom and Fletching. Sides for Duduzhu getting walled here will have quite a big wall to finish if Duduzhu wants to go for the full walls. Overtaken though is walls are finished. Like the only way to get here is through the TC, or of course after these villagers chop through you could enter through. And Overtaken is really waiting for those final few wood chips to be gathered there. And the same can be said for Duduzhu, who is now creating a 1 militia. And usually what will happen is players will just capture the first trade workshop and then just send the scout one way and the militia the other way. And here we have the champies, which are of course a bit faster than the militia. So Overtaken with the slight advantage here, and we will have a settlement on the stone and berries, initially used for the berries only. And as Duduzhu is through as well, we will have Militia coming out. You can see for both players, resources are slowly starting to trickle in, and this will be a close one, I want to say. But I think advantage for Overtaken there. Just barely though, and I think this is the moment where Duduzhu running under that TC earlier means that he cannot take the fight. So he has to keep running, and it is 3 workshops for Overtaken and only 1 for Duduzhu, although this workshop here is uncontested. As we now see the Champi runner upgrade, 5 Champies on the field already. Men-at-Arms are coming in as well for Duduzhu, who has created a mining camp to get some gold. Villager here to keep control of the trade workshop, and the Men-at-Arms get control of the workshop there, but will continue to move forward. As Loom is now coming in as well as another barracks. And this Champion will not find a lot of value there. Now keep in mind there is a line of non-wallable terrain right here along the edge. That is mainly to stop players from walling out opponents, but it also means that you cannot simply full wall. Like usually you would want to place a house here, palisade here, and then you would be completely fine. That is not possible, so raids on the wood lines are very, very much possible here. As the Men-at-Arms take a fight, the scout for Duduzhu goes down, and it's simply a numbers advantage there for Overtaken with the Champies. Still has 2 Champies running around here, protecting this workshop. Workshop here for Duduzhu completely unprotected, as we see more walls coming up, and we will... Oh, that was a palisade wall. So Duduzhu didn't want the Champies to run into the eco, although not a lot of low HP villagers to be sniped there just yet. We have a forward archery range here for Duduzhu as the Burmese. And foraging and double bid-axe now coming in. Double bid-axe already in for Duduzhu. And I would not be surprised if, looking at the resources here, Overtaken is thinking about getting set up for Castle Age. Resources collected relatively close, and that is with now 3 workshop control in favor of Overtaken. Although, of course, this trade workshop for the longest of times was in control of Duduzhu here. As the Men-at-Arms here fall back, the Men-at-Arms here will try to take the fight. I think there is enough Men-at-Arms here to end off the Champies, but of course the Champies have the mobility advantage. So they can just choose when or when not to fight. And Duduzhu even go for a tower on his gold there. And once again walls with the palisade. And I think this might have been a small mistake here for Duduzhu, leaving the workshop there unattended. As the Men-at-Arms are moving forward, 14 of them on the field, quite a bit of them here. A few of them are chilling here, and then we of course have the mass of 5 roaming forward. A few here forward as well, skirms as well behind to defend with the Champies in front. And like I was said, Duduzhu, or no, not Duduzhu, Overtaken was thinking about getting to the Castle Age. Did use the market for that though, but still has all his stone as well. As we now have another archery range, double archery range here for Overtaken, with 1 already on the field. No, not one already on the field. These are his first archery ranges. He's making the skirmishers from the settlement. Underrated bonus as we have champies. Skirmishers on the woodline here for Overtaken. Skirmishers though will go down to the men-at-arms. And once again the champions can just choose when to fight. I would choose to just run around. And be annoying with them. I'm not sure if I like Duduzhu's choice here of just sending them forward. You need to deal with the champions here or your woodline will be way too exposed. As we have a small army of more men-at-arms coming forward. As the champions here are still defending the workshop. Fletching came in, Castle Age is about to hit, and Duduzhu could potentially start thinking about Castle Age as well. But will be relatively far behind and will need to survive for the whole time that Overtaken is in the Castle Age, as we see the Bolas Riders coming out. Duduzhu did manage to fend off the attack in the bottom though, and we see 2 TCs here. Or Overtaken immediately placed upon reaching Castle Age. Overtaken in a very nice position. As Duduzhu is clicking up to the Castle Age. Low HP Skirm. Cannot really find the damage there, but Botkin Arrow is coming in. And I think the Bolas Riders moving in here through the left side of the map. Would definitely find some damage. And I think Duduzhu realizes that he cannot effectively deal with whatever Overtaken is producing right now. So instead chooses to hide his army here. Very sneaky. Of course, he will not know what Duduzhu, or Duduzhu will not know what Overtaken is producing. I don't think Town Watch is in yet. Or, no Town Watch. No, Town Watch isn't. Town Patrol is not in. But Duduzhu calls the GG here, knows that Castle Age simply is too late. Cannot handle the Bolas Riders that are about to come. And calls the GG. Game number 1 goes to Overtaken. Duduzhu, who made 24 men-at-arms, but I think simply could not find enough value with them. Maybe lacking a bit of mobility there. In favor of the champions just faster. And with the mobility, we're able to control maybe the workshops a bit longer. Although the rest collected is not that far off, I should say. But I think it all came down to the Castle Age timing here for Overtaken. Duduzhu never reaching the Castle Age. As we will go to the sieves here. And the Burmese versus the Mapuche. Very late pick there for Overtaken, but making it work with the lower, or not the lower pick, the later pick. But up next we will have quick mats. So no mat action. And it is going to be the Huns, as I also need to update the score there. Overtaken 1. 0 for now. As we are now on quick mats, the Nomad start Workshop Wars. And both players here on the same wood line, but Duduzhu I think he thinks that this was a wood line because he saw the tree. And this is very unfortunate, especially with Overtaken's TC right there. Overtaken does see the TC. Dougie, it's not the worst nomad starting TC I have ever seen. I have seen people who only had a 1 tree. Here there's at least 3, so you not completely dead. But Overtaken already coming out with the militia here. And Duduzhu is quite late with the militia. Of course, as the Huns, you start with fewer wood in the bank. And I think Duduzhu now realizes that he screwed up. And this could be a very fast set, especially since he does not know about Overtaken's TC there. But of course, with the Hunnic Horse, you could definitely go get all of the workshops. But Overtaken is doing quite a good job here of producing some militia, making sure that the workshops are securely under his control instead of just what Duduzhu is doing here with a villager wandering around. I think villagers should potentially get control of the workshop first, but with the militia there, that is not something that can easily happen. And I quickly want to check here though, because there is a chance that the TC here from Duduzhu, or not the TC from Duduzhu, the TC from Overtaken is ranging basically all of the wood line there. We have some fighting going on, villagers and men-at-arms. Or militia still, not men-at-arms. We need to go to the feudal age for that. But lots of fighting here and there. Hunnic Horse getting control of the workshop as well. Ooh, that is a downhill fight. Not a fight you want to take as Duduzhu. Just taking it regardless. Maybe is not really paying attention to that one, unfortunately. As we have another villager coming out for the workshop. What I wanted to check was the range of Overtaken's TC here. Basically means that there is a few safe trees here that can be chopped, but as I think Duduzhu about to find out where Overtaken's TC is and might realize at least on time before the lumber camp comes in. Bohemians, maybe it is a bit of an odd choice as civs, but of course villagers do get affected by the monastery upgrades as well. Of course, their unique unit out of the castle quite strong as well. And get the mining upgrades for free, so a castle drop, and especially a castle drop at this range, would be devastating for Duduzhu, who still is chopping trees around his TC. It's not the worst. As we have Hunnic Horses running around, but 7 militia out on the field for Overtaken. Only 1 for Duduzhu. Duduzhu is struggling to keep control of the workshops, and we can see that in the rest collected as well, as there is already 500 more rest collected here for Overtaken. As we now get a dock for Overtaken. And oh, there is already a dock for Duduzhu, so that is something very nice. Although I would love to see maybe a bit more safe wood compared to what we currently have. Still does not range, but Duduzhu definitely not in a good position here if we look at what he can see, or what Overtaken can see versus what Duduzhu can see. Maybe I need to switch sides here as well on the scoreboard for now, as Duduzhu is here on the left, of course. Overtaken on the right. But slowly but surely the militia number here is rising. Is not taking the greatest of fights. It's more and more militia here show up for Overtaken, trying to contest the middle workshop, which is the only workshop Duduzhu had in his control. As we have more Hunnic horses roaming around, not able to snag any of these workshops. Wild Boar is coming in, but we can see that the trickle of gold here and no villagers on gold is simply, I think, too much for Duduzhu to keep up with. As we can see, the rest is slowly but surely starting to rise here to click up to the feudal age. Overtaken. And I think at this point Duduzhu has a decision to make if he wants to keep investing, and I think investing in the militia at this point might be just not the right play. I think like going for a double dock, trying to get that food income that way is a very good choice though. Try to at least get up to the feudal age, and from there, as there is a militia not fighting, villagers here will go out for the mill for some safe deer. Villagers here will go out for the gold, but no mining camp feels rough. Villager versus militia. Militia has the high ground, but with another militia should be completely fine there. Overtaken though is on the way up to the next age. It's placing a mining camp on gold, making it a bit more efficient. And Duduzhu simply not up yet. I think might be a fast feud, or not even fast feudal. 23 villagers is not particularly fast. But feudal into GG here. Although Duduzhu is getting there in terms of resources. It has 11 on stone, so could play tower defense for a while. And has control of 2 workshops, so it's not the worst. Duduzhu now clicks up to the next age, but feudal age is indeed all that it takes for Overtaken to win this game. And I think Duduzhu maybe thought that with the Huns, the Hunnic horse would be a nice bonus to get the workshops early, but simply placing the barracks immediately and just letting that rest trickle in from all the men-at-arms that roam around collecting and protecting, of course, all the workshops definitely seems like the stronger strat here. It also, of course, didn't help that his DC was questionable at best. And maybe a bit unfortunate that they were so close. But overall, I should say I think it came down to not being able... Yeah, I think opening docks is also not the best option here. Like, maybe that is something you start with because of your, oh, it's Nomad, I need to make a dock, but the dock can simply not outperform the control of the trade workshops. And we can see that reflected here as well in the resources collected, more than 1,000 ahead or Overtaken. It took almost 15 minutes to get to feudal, and still was first in feudal, but that is the result, of course, from making all that military. And 12 army high versus 6 army high, I think tells the story there quite well as well. I will update the score there. And it was also first pick hunts for Duduzhu, so not looking great. His 2 top picks in terms of civs lost with them both, so we'll really need to start thinking about making something happen here. Up next, we will go to Overtaken's home map, Bog Aftermath. So I am curious what we will get there, as it is not the civ that I expected here for Duduzhu. Overtaken plays it like I expected in terms of civs. And there we go. Bog Aftermath. In the red, Overtaken. Once again opening with the instant barracks. And Duduzhu out here playing as the Khitans. Remember, he did have Italians, Vikings, and Berbers available as well. As we can see, Overtaken playing as the Malay, already having control of 1 workshop here. Duduzhu having control of the other one. And first militia already being created here for Overtaken. We'll need to start thinking about a house relatively soon as well, and I think that will come in after Loom. The villager will probably build the house now. And there we go. Looks like a very, very tight build here for Overtaken, but I think with the militia out to the other workshop here, maybe not enough to kill the scout directly, but enough to damage it enough so that the next one can get it. And the scout here for Duduzhu simply chooses to run away for a while. Of course, the map here will not have any fish, so while this definitely possible for fishing ships to be created, definitely not the best choice, although Malay could potentially wall and get some safe backdock fish booming going eventually. As we have a standoff here between the militia and Duduzhu's scout. Duduzhu's scout doing a dance, trying to keep the workshop under his control as long as possible. We have the barracks here for Duduzhu, not the barracks at home. Not the barracks we expected. As the scout here for Duduzhu finally loses control of the workshop. Overtaken now in control of workshop 1 and 2, but I think 2 militia here and a villager are enough to eventually get control of the workshops, but of course scout has the mobility advantage here, so a villager will need to fight there. Loom is not in for the villager, so that is quite dangerous for Duduzhu here. Remember, Overtaken did get Loom part of his build. And still missing sheeps. Definitely not the worst in case of having control of both workshops, but losing control of the workshops could potentially... I mean, you still have the berries and you definitely have plenty of wood there, although the wood lines for Overtaken here not looking like they are relatively close or relatively safe. not easily wallable, as Duduzhu finally gets control, but is already 400 res collected behind. And we'll lose one more militia here. We'll have the advantage in terms of new militia coming in, but of course Overtaken here has the numbers advantage. Although Overtaken did have a few low HP militias. So depending on how the fight goes, definitely not a fight he would want to take. And Duduzhu here looking like the feudal age starts to creep in slowly but surely. Overtaken though, not really there yet. As Duduzhu now finds all of his sheep at once. Remember, they were quite at the front here. And I kinda agree with that, but I think it plays out quite a bit like the other land maps. Because it's usually what we see is something like what Overtaken does, and just placing the barracks and just going full militia, and then eventually when you get up, you place down a dock and just try to add in the boats. And I think the Ketons here with the extra attack on the Hawks might be what Duduzhu is going for. As he clicks up to the next age, but will lose possession of the workshop. And I wonder if we will see a dock. There is a lumber camp now being created here for Duduzhu, so definitely quite a few villagers. 10 villagers on wood here, and then 6 more around the TC is on gold as well. This all indicates that we do want a dock eventually. The wood line will get walled in. Overtaken nowhere near clicking up, but will have double the military. And Overtaken will find the wood line immediately, which is quite unfortunate for Duduzhu. Here we see the dock coming in. As Overtaken, as the Malay, of course, will get up faster than his opponent will. But Duduzhu gets there first, opens with a Hulk. No dock just yet for Overtaken, but I think we will see that coming in shortly. As the militia don't really find the damage they would like to find. Blacksmith now as well. First Hawk is out. And we immediately go for one of the workshops. I think that is the correct call. Other workshop was taken back, and we do indeed see forging here coming in. As Man-at-Arms is coming in, Double Bidex is coming in as well. Double Bidex is not in yet for Duduzhu. And we are taking the fight before forging is in. But we have the numbers advantage and of course the speed advantage there for the Hulks. Although the now Man-at-Arms, of course, have the advantage of simply being able to walk on land, whereas a boat, of course, cannot. And villagers will need to run. That is a very nice quick gate there for Duduzhu. And I think having these Man-at-Arms simply attacking houses is still value. Duduzhu also forced, or not really forced into a tower, but did make a tower, as we now also have Hulks for Overtaken. For Duduzhu's Hulks slightly better with the extra attack. As we have a militia versus Man-at-Arms fight here, but numbers advantage, so Duduzhu still holds on. Woodline there cannot really find a lot of damage with the Hulks. Of course, with the tower there, we can see how vulnerable the Hulks are to arrows, and definitely a great tower there on the woodline. As another man-at-arms falls to Duduzhu's Hulk. Not sure if there is a hill advantage at play here, but there is of course the attack upgrade advantage there at play. And Duduzhu control of both of the workshops, but is quite far behind in terms of economy. Part of that of course is the melee uptime, simply idling your TC less for getting up, so you get more vills that way. 3 docks here for Overtaken. And I think it's still... oh, it's 2 docks now for Duduzhu, but definitely not the amount of docks you would want, especially against the melee. I don't know, Duduzhu also idled his TC for 2.5 minutes. And I think is now paying the price for that. Has control of both of the workshops, but it's still 1,000 rests collected behind, as we now see galleys and fletching starting to be created for Overtaken, who is currently housed, so it's not the worst. All of the villagers here from Overtaken are safely in the corner, walled off. And there is a hole here on the woodline, potential for some ships to get in there. Would love to see a demo there as well, but of course demos not really what they used to be. So it's unlikely we see demos in this game. We now see galleys here as well on the field. And that should give Duduzhu maybe a heads up that maybe going full Hulk is not the play anymore, as we do see repairs coming in as well. Military-wise though, Duduzhu is doing quite well. There's quite a few of low HP ships in there as well for both players. But Duduzhu chooses to, well, maybe not run away, chooses to fight instead. But I think with the growing number of galleys here, 7 on the field, only 1 more Hulk left that is being chased right there. I think Duduzhu will need to make that switch into maybe fires and going galleys of your own, although getting a very nice surround there, and suddenly it's only 5 galleys on the field. More Hulks in queue for Overtaken. Will need something in front there to stop the Hulks from getting in close, and still 2 workshops here in control of Duduzhu. As Duduzhu here's rests, looking like he wants to click up, although it's not producing any villagers. So that eco lead is starting to grow and grow for Overtaken. We now have a 4th dock here for Duduzhu. And there are Hulks inside, some galleys being added now as well. Great workshop will be reclaimed here by Duduzhu, who will be the first one to click up. Fires now being added. Fires, of course, really help with taking down buildings. Castle H is clicked. We did have to idle quite a bit, 6 minutes of idle TC time here for Duduzhu, but will be the first to get to Castle H unless Overtaken can use the market that he does not have. He did get 11 farms though. So there is the market, but I think by the time the market is built, Duduzhu will be far enough along the way to Castle H where the melee bonus will not come into play. I have to say Overtaken's eco is looking way more solid. Of course, it's also partly because... Wait, oh, those are not farms. For a second there, I thought Duduzhu was making farms. Of course, Ketons have the pastures. But 0 pastures this game. There are a few villagers here on berries. As Overtaken indeed will use the market a bit and will click up. Will be a minute behind to the Castle Age. And let's see what Duduzhu can do with that advantage of being up first. Don't think he has the food quite yet for all the upgrades that he wants. Never mind. We'll have the resources for at least iron casting and medium warships. But did lose control or track of where Overtaken ships are. Overtaken very wisely just falls back home. And I think Duduzhu was hoping to find the ships there. Could not really find it. And kinda wasted some time there trying to get the nice surround. As we still have 8 ships here basically doing nothing. Clinker construction though is in, or coming in. So Duduzhu's ships will be faster. The question will be, will it be enough against Overtaken's eco? Who, despite not having control of the workshops, still has 2,000 more rests collected. But it's looking very nice here for Duduzhu. Although maybe with the Hulks, might want to back off until the fires arrive. As we now have more galleys on the other side as well for Overtaken. Careening also coming in. Duduzhu getting all the upgrades relevant to the ships. And 0 on food here, so will struggle more and more with just idling his TC. I'm not sure if I like that. Ballistics though is coming in for Overtaken here first, as the fires are slowly working away at the docks. Fires of course also do quite well against the galleys, as long as they can get in close enough to actually shoot. And Overtaken's, its woodline is under pressure here. Might lose quite a few vills. Not as many as I would have expected there. Tower though will go down. Villagers will eject, and that will give the Hawks also more opportunities to snipe villagers. On the other side though, it is Hawks versus fires. It is galleys behind, and it looks like Duduzhu is in a very, very solid position here. As we get the full naval cleanup, and Overtaken calls GG. Game number 3 goes to Duduzhu, who, despite idling his TC for 8 minutes, will get it done and will get points on the board. Otter, if you want to wait, that's fine. I also understand if you don't want to wait and just play your set, that is also fine. In that case, I will just jump in somewhere in the middle. But that is essentially up to you if you would want to wait or not. I don't know if there is more games after this. Of course, we do have one more game here, at least. But it could potentially be 2 games as well. I have not checked the results, so I am not spoiled, and as long as Chipmunk is reading handbooks and has the time, if you want to wait, that's completely fine. Yes, I will back to the draft for now. And Ketons get the win versus Melee, last pick for Overtaken, so not the worst there. Duduzhu having used his top 3 picks, Overtaken using his last 3 picks. As we will go to Wang Shuang Mountain Madness next. Potentially last game here for Duduzhu, but could potentially, of course, also make it a reverse sweep. As we have Duduzhu in the blue here playing as the Berbers. And then we have Overtaken in the red playing as the Tatars, and Overtaken once again immediate barracks. Lots of villagers here forward, loom coming in maybe a bit later than here for Overtaken, and I will also quickly switch the sides again. As it is 3 workshops here for Overtaken. 4 workshops here for Overtaken. Did send his scout to the middle one as well. We have a villager on villager action. We have scout on villager action. Scout on villager action. Everything you would ever want to see, as we have our first villager kill here in favor of Overtaken. Both players housed for a second there. As Overtaken is trying to find that hill, Duduzhu trying to use his mobility with the Berber faster villagers to take advantageous fights. As both players send the weak vills home. More villagers though going down for both players. On the bottom though, it's relatively chill with just a villager admiring the trade workshop there. And Overtaken really trying to find where that hill is, trying to get that position. And Eco KD will be 2-2. Relatively equal game here. But of course, the closer we get to the TC, the more dangerous it will be for the other player. Although there is not a lot of villagers here under the TC, as we now have some villager on villager action as well. Scout stays alive for now. No, Scout will stay alive for a bit longer. Scouts here on the other side though, just chilling as well. As the militia start to come out, Scout will fall, and I think having a villager or two just working away at that barracks, just hitting it with those boxing gloves, will eventually make it catch fire. As we will have 3 workshops in control of Duduzhu. As Duduzhu runs a bit too close, and this is what I was talking about, a bit too close there under the TC, will lose some villager HP. And Overtaken though has quite the Vil advantage, as Duduzhu once again is not really making a lot of villagers. Has 1 militia of his own. But I think looking at the stats here, Overtaken could simply just send his villagers, get control, and then win every fight for the workshops. Although Duduzhu did sneak some villagers here get control of the middle workshop. So 4 workshops now in control of Duduzhu. That should be enough to keep at least 1 TC running. As we have more and more villager fights, of course the Berbers should be able to run away if we are paying attention. But I think this is the place where we are currently paying attention. Low HP villager will run away and will potentially be annoying. As we have a lot of villager fighting here. On the bottom though, everything was cleared up. No militia out of this barracks. But Overtaken really starting to maybe think about that feudal transition once again. Would love to see a mill there just to get the berries going for a bit more consistent food income. We now see a very forward mill for Duduzhu taking Overtaken's barracks. Duduzhu, in the meantime, did lose control of the workshop. Still has control of the middle workshop between Overtaken's TCs. And villager HP-wise, numbers are in favor of Overtaken. Villager count in favor of Overtaken. So I think this is a fight where Duduzhu needs to accept that he will give up the workshop and needs to retreat back to the TC. Or simply lose all the villagers, even though Duduzhu could run away being the Berbers. Over here, Duduzhu also losing some villagers. And it's looking more and more like Overtaken will pull ahead. Although he is nowhere close to clicking up now. But has almost double the villager count as Duduzhu, and that is also being reflected in the rest collected, even though Duduzhu now has control of 4 of the workshops. Right as I say that, Scout runs past one of the workshops. We have quite a few villagers here. Either stuck or forgotten about. More villagers going down, more militia going down. And neither player looking like they want to start thinking about the feudal age though. As we have some villagers here, as I will need to turn that off as well. Taking some sneaky there. I'm not sure where these villagers are going. As Overtaken now has control of 2 workshops. The one between his TCs, though, this villager will get it. And more villagers going down. Only 25 villagers here currently on the field for Duduzhu. Almost 50 for Overtaken. And Duduzhu here decides to send everything to get control of the workshops. And like I said, I would not have minded if earlier this barracks was at least somewhat damaged by villagers being attacked. Especially with the hill bonus here, could have maybe taken out that damage, or taken out the barracks, could have caused Overtaken to quite simply have to remake it, have to rethink maybe going for his militia. But a lot of villagers, a lot of men-at-arms or militias. As Feudal Age is on the way here for Overtaken. Duduzhu nowhere near clicking up, has 19 on food somehow. But I don't think it will be enough with the uptime from Overtaken. Not on gold yet, but Duduzhu does not even need to see the Feudal Age come in here. Good GG, well played, good luck in the finals. And Overtaken takes it 3, 2, 1. And I think part of that, like, maybe the hill bonus, like, along the top and bottom here, like, it's quite difficult to see where that starts and ends. But I also think it comes down to a lot of that is idle time from Duduzhu. Nonetheless, he fought really well. Villagers, militia, and scouts alike. We go over the stats here. No feudal age was reached, but definitely I think one of the entertaining games in this set. We will go back to the draft. Berbers did not manage, and the Tatars managed to snag that victory there. Overtaken winning it in the end. I am not sure if the Chipmunk versus Otter set has drafts already available. If not, then I will see. I find them. Oh. We waited. That's nice. That is very nice. In that case, I think you can start the draft. I will quickly refill my water bottle here. And then we can... well, you can start the draft. I will fill my water bottle, and then we should be all good to go. But thanks for waiting. So I will be back in a minute or two. We will have the drafts by then, hopefully. And then we will start with our community group stage alive set of today. I'll be right back. All right, we are back. I see that I quickly need to switch the names around. But we have the Otter One versus Chipmunk. Two community legends in a best of 3 here. And Otter is out. Thank you for staying here. Also, thank you for leaving and not stream sniping while I am casting it live. I'm sure you will watch this later. I hope you enjoy it as a rec instead. Also have the Civ draft link here. All set up and ready to go. I'm assuming the players will get ready here any second now. But of course, these players will have access to a few more civs. In the Pro Division and in the playoffs for the group stage later as well for the community event. The 4 most played and 2 most banned civs are globally banned from the tournament in the playoffs. For the pros, those were the Mongols, Persians, Lithuanians, Romans, Goths, and the 2P. 4 most played will mean that they will need to be picked and played. Banned will just mean they will need to be banned in the draft. But first we will have our map draft, which is Straight Seas and Aftermath banned for both players. Chipmunk here will choose Quick Mats, Nomad as his home map. Of course, we did see the strat there for Quick Mats from the Pro Division, and the Otter One decides Wangshuang Mountain Madness. The villager fights. That's what I want to do. That's where I excel. So let's see if he's right. And let's see if we see some of the civs that the pros used maybe too much in the group stage. As the other one is thinking if he wants bog aftermath or before math. And we will have a before math as our game 1 map. Of course, before math will be the same as aftermath in terms of how it is set up map-wise, although instead of being it completely destroyed, it is still undestroyed, at least at the beginning of the game. Will play out as a regicide as well, so players will need to be careful to not lose their king. Not lose that king out of sight, because if you lose that king out of sight, suddenly king gets sniped and then you will be defeated. And I'm quite sure players here are looking at the civs, looking at the maps, trying to figure out which civs to ban, which civs to pick. Now, I would be surprised if we don't see one of the civs that are banned in the pro event playoffs. Especially for Wangshuang Mountain Madness, gods also feel quite strong. Lithuanians as well. So let's see what we will get there, but for now we're just waiting for the players to get ready. to start the Civ drafts. Also, probably not a lot of water in this set. Quick Mats has the potential for some water, but I think the water investment there should be relatively low compared to what we will have on maps like Trade Seas, Dutch Bliss, Bog Aftermath, which quite funnily are all banned by Otter. Otter does not want to play water there. And Chipmunk maybe banning the more standard maps per se. Like Aftermath, of course, is the map that started this all with the trade workshops. Trauma Pit, Amazon Aftermath. Maps with quite a few trade workshops on them. As I see that Otter has already set up the lobby as well. Chipmunk is not in there, and Chipmunk is also... or Otter, I'm not sure who we are waiting on here. But one of them is not readying up. Did they re-host a new one? I think Chipmunk is still doing a bit of handbook stuff with Arbase for the T90 Community Cup and is actively drafting there. So I think we're just waiting on that to finish up. And then I think once that finishes, we will get our draft on the way. And as I say that, draft is finished. And we will have our ban here. For Otter, it is the Burgundians. Does not want to deal with the Flemish militia. Definitely a solid choice there. And for Chipmunk, we'll have two bans. So let's see what he decides to ban there. It is the Huns. Although what we just saw, Huns, maybe not the best Civ for quick mats. Maybe for other maps though. Would be nice. And Italians as well. Italians on before math could be quite dangerous as well. Especially if they can keep control of the workshops. They have a counter to quite a few units. Now the Hindustanis or the Otter One are banned as well. And the last ban for Otter will be... what will it be? The Malay. And then the final ban for Chipmunk. The Celts. Now both players have a hidden pick Let's see if they pick the same civ here. It's Lithuanians Chinese. So Lithuanians is one of the civs that was banned by the pros. Persians as well, so Otter One in all the strong civs, at least according to the pros. Chinese for Chipmunk, Wu for Chipmunk as well, the Berbers as well for Chipmunk. And I think Chipmunk already has quite a solid stack of civilizations here. I think it would prefer Chinese maybe on quick mats. Wangshuang Mountain Madness definitely feels like Berbers with a bit of villager speed. Would be quite nice. Not sure if the Wu are for quick mats or for Wangshuang Mountain Madness. And Otter One picking gods, so Otter going all out on the banned Pro Division civs. Although Aztecs is not in there, Koreans also not in there, but very nice civ stack for both players. Very, very nice civ stack. As we are waiting for Chipmunk to then join the lobby. Otter has been chilling in this lobby for 15 minutes all by himself. So I assume Otter will be ready once we get Chipmunk in there, although he will need to select the correct map as well. And I'm not sure whose civs I'd like here more. I think depending on where you play them, definitely favor certain civs. I think the gods, I would like to see them on quick mats with the instant loom to immediately start villager fighting. Persians could go there as well, though. I think Lithuanians definitely for Wangshuang Mountain Madness. Persians could be for before math, though. Although before math could also be gods and just god spam to keep possession of the workshops. And Chinese on quick mats feels like the right place to play them, although I have seen them played on before math as well. Though that feels maybe more Korean or maybe Wu for me in this draft. I think Berbers definitely Wangshuang Mountain Madness there. And hey, Redkansky, welcome in. I definitely did enjoy the Duduzhu versus Overtaken set. It was a very fun set, and definitely glad I did not spoil myself by looking at the results. That was, at least for me, it was very entertaining. I hope the rest of the viewers on stream also enjoyed it. Definitely think the biggest thing there for Duduzhu was maybe the idle time. I think that is what set him back in a few games, and then just could not catch up again. Welcome in, Mike. You are right on time. We are waiting on Chipmunk to join the lobby. Yeah, I think the Tar sheep bonus plus the hill advantage, of course, as well in the villager fights is also quite nice. And then just being able to keep villagers producing, I think, was the biggest thing. I think maybe Duduzhu went a bit too much all in early on and could not really recover in terms of food eco there. And Mike played with Redkansky and got in a 2v2 versus Fire. That was probably one of the games of all time. How did it go? Like, what was the... How far did you make it? Did you get to Imp at least? Or Castle Age? Feudal Age? Was it an all-in Dark Age? And as I say that, the lobby just disappeared. Is Otter rehosting? This Otter is rehosting. Pilgrims. I think Pilgrims is at least a fun map to play against like someone who is like 1,000 elo higher. Could play that a few ways, get like full water, try to win it that way, or just simply go full land aggression and ignore water. But definitely against someone who is that much higher elo, it's very understandable to simply realize when you are done and cannot play on anymore. Especially on a ranked ladder game. I think in tournaments, of course, playing on maybe a bit longer than you would usually play on could sometimes be worth it. I definitely had situations in recent tournaments where I played on for a bit longer than I would do if it was a ranked game, and then it turned out that I simply was able to win. But sometimes for ladder games that feels like it's maybe a bit too much. As we once again have both players in the lobby. And this time with the correct server. Players have chosen their colors as well. So all we need to do now is wait for the 2-minute spec delay to finish. Also, is the scoreboard up top flashing sometimes for the viewers, or is that something that's only on my end? Because it feels like it is sometimes flashing. That is my hacky way of reloading it and not having to refresh everything so the score updates automatically. But if that is flashing, then I will look into getting that sorted out as well for the next stream, which will probably be on Wednesday. Not sure about the time just yet, but it will most likely be a full community group stage kind of thing. As there's only 1 week left in the group stage for the community event, so players are finishing up their groups, finishing up their games, and then for a few of the groups we already have the group completed, but not the division of the group completed. We are finally launching the game. 1 minute spec delay awaits. As we are starting it all on before math. In about 1 minute. And I do see the civs. I do like the civs. I think this will be a fun civ matchup. And let's see what we will get here. I don't think we will see a lot of villager fighting. I think it will be a FC into either unique unit or boom kind of situation, which is, I think, a bit more standard on Fortress in general. Don't really see a lot of early aggression, but it should be a fun game regardless. the spec delay here is about to run out. And we can launch Capture H. Ooh, I quickly need to move that. Right. Okay, Capture H, please realize we are spectating the game. Apparently it cannot, because I got a field to download match content. Thanks, DE. Alright. This should be good now. Yes. Alright. We have Chipmunk versus the Otter One. Chipmunk playing in the teal as the Chinese. Immediately going for a boiler off the bat, has sent the king out. Not straight to the workshop though, as Otter, who is playing in the yellow as the gods, did send his king out to the workshop. Chipmunk though is sending his scout there. Of course the feudal scout can catch up, the dark age scout cannot, and right now we just have a standoff. But Otter will need to watch his king here. Otter will need to watch his king. Otter realizes. And as we can see, the king can simply run away. And I think what we're currently waiting on, as we have another standoff here of king versus scout. As Otter, I think, is playing a dangerous game here. I think Chipmunk here realized that his king was under pressure from another scout. But Otter here created some militia. Militias are coming, and Otter will need to be even more careful. Chipmunk, though, chose to simply run away, not wanting to deal with too much micro at the same time, as we have militias here now for both players. Of course, the king cannot attack, but can hold possession of the workshop. King for Chipmunk still out and about, but is running away. Otter is playing a dangerous game, keeping his king here, but has the militias to back it up. Chipmunk's king just chilling. Just chilling. Chipmunk is looking like he's very far away from clicking up, but I think once villagers drop off some resources here and there, should be relatively close. Otter, though, is on the way to feudal age, 18 villagers. And is taking the boar in a... Man, that's a boar position. That is one of the boar positions of all time. Otter, though, has control of both of the workshops. And it is slightly reflected there in the rest collected, although not too far ahead yet. And Chipmunk with 5 militia on the field should be able to get control of at least one. But this should also be the time for this dude right here to say, I have seen enough of the workshop, I'm going home. But same could be said there for Chipmunk, who did manage to kill Otter's scout, so Otter did probably not see the king position there for Chipmunk, and I think Otter realized time to get the king back home. Chipmunk, though, still chilling with his king and is now bringing it home as well. Chipmunk, though, will click to feudal once Otter reaches feudal. That always feels quite good for the player reaching feudal, as we will have the market blacksmith combo here for Otter. Also saw Loom coming in. Man-at-arms clicked as well. Of course, the man-at-arms for the gods are cheaper. Cheaper to produce. As we will have militia on militia action. But with the man-at-arms upgrade in, I think Chipmunk will need to run away. And I do think that we will see a... we do see some selling of resources here for Otter to get up to the next stage. That is, of course, the downside of going up so fast. I think having control of both of the workshops here definitely helped him. Although Chipmunk is doing a nice job of keeping up with the rest collected. Here has, of course, quite a few villagers advantage. Has less idle time than Otter as well. Of course, the regicide start here for Otter, or for Chipmunk playing as the Chinese, helped him with not having to idle at the beginning, but still get the advantage of having the extra villagers, as we see not market blacksmith, but range blacksmith. So Chipmunk definitely wants to make some archers before he can create his Chukonu. I'm not sure if that is the correct place, since the gods, of course, with the castle can immediately create their unique units, which hard counters ranged units. But let's see what Chipmunk wants to do here. We do see some archers queued. Castle Age, though, 20 seconds away for Otter, 2 minutes away for Chipmunk. As Chipmunk regains control of the workshop, albeit probably temporarily. Though there is another militia here to help out the scouts. As Otter reaches the Castle Age, we don't see extra TCs, does not have the stone for it. And as I say, that is buying stone. And will place it on the gold outside of his base. And Chipmunk for now chooses to run away. I think sending out the archers would be nice. No eco upgrades yet for Chipmunk. Bosaw already coming in for the Otter One here. Also did manage to snag Horse Collar as well. And Chipmunk choosing to currently just be active with his scout, but loses control of the workshop. Nonetheless, went out a bit too far there. Archers, though, they show up. This man-at-arms is on stand ground and will die that way if we are not careful. And we will get double bit X coming in here for Chipmunk. Also, we'll get Bodkin Arrow, and we will get some Chukonus on the field. We also will see our first Huskarls out on the field. Monastery as well. Remember, it is standard victory. Or it should be played as standard victory. Let's actually check if the players selected standard victory. Looks like standard victory has been enabled. So we could win with a wonder as well, potentially. Although that is highly unlikely, but not completely out of the question. As the Chukonu will have the numbers advantage here, and I think the Huskarl will need to run away here. And the Chukonu with the extra arrows will deal enough damage, at least initially. And I don't think Otter's eco is set up to continuously produce the Huskarls, given that he has 3 TCs now that he needs to take care of. Of course, for Chipmunk, it is a bit easier with the Chukonu here being a wood gold unit and not a food gold unit. Chipmunk now going for squires as well, so I think he wants to start mixing in a few of the fire lancers, which is also a wood gold unit. And Chipmunk going for a 3rd TC as well. It's a bit later to the 3rd TC game, but still has the eco advantage. I think that is the Chinese bonus there paying off. Workshop on the bottom though could be for the taking with a few Chukonu. Only 2 man-at-arms defending it. As we indeed see our first Fire Lancers in queue here. No more military production other than the Fire Lancers for Chipmunk. And here we see some of the Huskarls coming in. Chipmunk realizes we'll need to kite away, but is in a good position to kill them all eventually. Squire's on the way as well for Otter, as we see a monk here trying to convert. And with that conversion, I think we can take the fight. And I think simply just running away instead of also attacking, maybe a bit of a mistake there for Chipmunk. Who will now regain control of the workshop on top. And welcome in Ghost Rider. Yeah, I think this is one of the sets that I had my eye on for this week to cast, and given that I was able to just do it live, I figured why not. Definitely don't want to be spoiled about this by people talking about this. I think these two players usually perform quite well, and I like their playstyles as well. As we have a Siege Workshop for both players coming up. Maybe the Siege Workshop idea was given to Otter by Chipmunk. But Chipmunk does definitely have the numbers advantage. Does not have the eco advantage anymore though. Otter's eco starting to look quite solid here with all his farms. Of course has the workshop as well. And Chipmunk decides I want more TCs. Will need to keep his farms running. But I think no horse collar here is what is actually hurting him. And I don't think he realizes it just yet. Since we will have Fire Lancers and Huskarls in a battering ram. And that is a good way to start a push on a TC, for sure. But Mangonel coming out here for Otter, so Chipmunk needs to get something going. As the monk over here may be a bit too ambitious. Would have loved to see just like a Fire Lancer or two. Or maybe a Chukanu or two. This is the handcart TC. Otter has not reacted yet. Mangonel is in the barracks or in the siege workshop. So could hop out and maybe do quite a bit of damage there. I think the TC will survive. It is not an all-important TC. Handcart will complete. And this is a nice moment for Chipmunk to back away. 2 militia on the bottom, still protecting. Would like to see these Fire Lancers simply be around the siege workshop, so that once the Mangonel here hops out, we can immediately start attacking it. Also, no armor upgrades for Chipmunk. Does not feel too good. Rocket cart though survives for now. No villager nearby to repair. Of course, Otter has the advantage of having a TC there. And we will now see another rocket cart. Ooh, that will simply just fall immediately. Eco-wise, we are relatively close once again. That is the 4 TCs here for Chipmunk, who still hasn't realized about Horse Collar. As we now see Bodkin Arrow coming in for the Otter One, who is losing his Mangonels to his own units that were converted. No more Mangonels in queue either. Losing some villagers here and there as well. 15 villagers in a TC being idled. And we can see these Huskarls are quite tanky. Monk will heal them up. Would love to see those Chukonu being healed as well. Fire Lancers should be forward as well. But the villagers all make it out very safely and maybe not completely unharmed. But safety C here to go Imperial Age in. Chipmunk realizes his horse collar mistake and immediately drops farms. Will have almost 60 farms. And I think with control of both of the workshops now, we will see Chipmunk going to Imperial Age as well relatively soon. Or at least that's what I hope. Would love to see Imperial Age for Chipmunk. Imperial Age here for Otter. Not sure what he will do with Imp. Don't see a lot of barracks yet. Losing a TC there as well doesn't feel particularly useful in the Goth boom. But for now, Chipmunk chooses to back away. And I think after Handcart and Town Watch are in, we will see Imperial Age coming in as well relatively soon. Yes, Imperial Age after Handcart. And forward castle, not sure with the Imp timing here for Otter. If that is a castle that is to stay, but we do see masonry also coming in. And well, you can say what you want about being housed all the time, but Otter has not been housed this game yet. Of course, starting with the castle, giving the pop space definitely helps quite a bit with that. As we see Huskarls and the monk regaining control of one of the workshops. Workshop on top has been recaptured by Otter as well. Would have loved to see the castle maybe a bit more here so it protects the workshop a bit more. But we do see a trebuchet and conscription. Would love to see those switched as well. Just immediately get the trap on the castle here, and so it doesn't need to roll around for a long time. Murder holes coming in as well for Chipmunk. Chipmunk getting all the technologies. Was with 50 on food. Definitely in a position to just spam those technologies before he reaches the Imperial Age as well. Of course, the Chinese discount helps with that too. There's another monk, does another conversion, but it's not microed back and will die, unfortunately. Trebuchets, though, are out for Otter. This castle will very likely fall. Chipmunk will need to realize that his Chukonu are moving forward into castle fire. As conscription will be researched in the forward castle. Cannot deal with the castle forward though, and I think conscription will not complete here. 4 traps on the field for Otter One as we see Elite Fire Lancer coming in. And Chipmunk here housed quite heavily simply by losing the castle forward. Another TC here on the stone this time. Would also not mind to see some more walls there, like we see Otter here with house walls. And perfusion coming in as well, so we really want to start the god spam up. As we do have quite a few Fire Lancers here. Will Fire Lancers do enough here for Chipmunk? Fire Lancers will for now do enough. But with perfusion and the switch into at least two-handed swordsman for now. As one of the traps actually snipes the rocket card. The traps will for now at least stay up. TC, 12 HP, oh, that will fall. The TC will not fall. traps were tasked onto the Trebuchet instead. And Chipmunk for now holding on, will need to at one point start thinking about gaining control of the workshops again. Eco-wise, relatively close. But Chipmunk needs to, I think, mass up just a bit more. Maybe a few more barracks as well. And with the amount of food that he has, I would not mind just getting a few units that cost food. Just to be in front, to be a bit of a meat shield there. As we do still have 12 HP on the TC, so villagers cannot garrison here. Basically no military on the field for Chipmunk. Man-at-Arms being researched. I think we might see Chipmunk fold relatively soon here, as the god spam has started, and once the god spam starts, I think it is very, very hard to stop. As one trebuchet is slowly moving forward. More trebuchets though are in queue. But I don't think it is enough here for Chipmunk, who is desperately trying to get the Fire Lancers on the field. Definitely don't want to produce them out of the forward barracks, as we now see barracks in the back as well. We try to go for house walls. That will keep out the longswords temporarily. Oh no, we already upgraded to champion. Never mind. So we now see two-handed swordsman coming in for Chipmunk. Definitely looking very, very difficult here for Chipmunk. And Otter, with control of the workshops, has rest for days. We can see elite Huskarl now coming in. We don't see a lot of Huskarls on the field yet, although 28, of course, maybe not too little as well. And welcome in Schmabenkel. Right on time to see the god spam spamming. And taking it in game number 1. And I think Chipmunk definitely had a very solid position. But with the forward castle here, and just being a bit too late to get to Imp, kinda gave up his whole push. Maybe a castle around, like I said, this place would have been a bit better. That would have also forced the traps at least outside of the walls, instead of having the traps just safely inside. Because at least early Imperial Age, when Elite Fire Lancer was in, it still looked quite solid there for Chipmunk. But if you let the gods spam too much, this is what happens, and you end up with almost 75 military in your base. As we will have Otter here taking game number 1. This is of course a best of 3, not a play all 3. So Otter here in a position to finish the set. Chipmunk, of course, could still do a reverse sweep here. As I don't have a lobby yet. But that also gives me time to get the civs here sorted. As we did have the Chinese, Chipmunk's number 1 pick versus the gods. Quite late there for Otter. But definitely I think we saw why they were banned in the Pro Division. Once again, Pro Division, the top 4 most played and 2 most banned? Or was it the other way around? We double check. 4 most played, 2 most banned. They were not available in the drafts anymore. And Otter indeed winning a Regicide game without sniping the king. Although if we go back to the beginning here, the king for Otter here was quite, well, maybe not low on HP, but it was out for quite some time before he decided to bring it back. Basically brought it back on Feudal Age. But that could definitely have been, if there were a few more militia and maybe a bit less attention on the king. Could have been a very early snipe there for Chipmunk, but the same could have been said for Chipmunk's king. As we see Chipmunk also just bringing it back right as Otter is about to hit Feudal Age. Since we are still waiting on the players, we can also go for the statistics. I think one of the things that hurt Chipmunk here as well is the 24-minute horse collar. Did get double bid X as we hit Castle Age. And it seems like we have Breakfast versus Huggy, which has been completed. I might cast this afterwards. That depends on how long this set will take. As it is getting not too late, but don't want to be up all night. Still have work tomorrow. But it will be Huangshuang Mountain Madness up next. At least if we have to believe the lobby. And Chipmunk has some civs there that could be quite strong. I think Lithuanians there for Otter One quite strong as well. But of course for Chipmunk, the Berbers getting that extra villager speed might work out in its favor. The Wu might also be quite strong, although I would believe the Wu would be better on quick mats. As we will not see the Lithuanians here, which is a bit odd in my opinion. It is going to be the Persians for the Otter One. And it is indeed going to be the Berbers for Chipmunk, as we still need to wait a few more seconds here for the spec delay to finish. And Huggy is once again rigging the sheets, rigging everything, as practice squad admins usually do. So it's good to see nothing new there. The spec delay is about 10 more seconds. But I am curious what we will see, what Otter's choice. Why did he go for the Persians? Of course, faster working TCs. But I think the Lithuanian bonus of having the extra food early on to keep the TCs running a bit more would have still my... that would have been my preferred choice. But we are here. Otter playing as the yellow Persians, sending his scout forward to both of the workshops. Chipmunk a bit later to it. So we'll find Otter One's scout. Very nice hill bonus there for Chipmunk, at least early on. Excuse me. No action on the Otter workshop just yet. And Otter definitely taking a play out of the pro playbook here, capturing the middle workshop, but leaving the forward workshop completely exposed. Chipmunk, though, decides he wants to first regain control, maybe thinking the workshop on top has been claimed already by some units. And first militia out on the field here for the Otter One. A villager is forced to run away. Of course, Berber villagers move a bit faster. Villager here can definitely take on the scout. I think Chipmunk may have shift-clicked some units here and there. We'll need to a villager fight actually to gain control. His scout here though did killed the scout from Otter One, but Otter One is here now with a militia, so that is a standoff, and Otter One is in a very solid position here to take this game quite early, I should say. As Chipmunk finally regains control of one of the workshops, but 3 workshops here in favor of Otter One. And we will need more villager fighting. Chipmunk a bit low on villager fighting action on the workshops where it matters. But villagers are finally here for Chipmunk. And that should force Otter away for now. And I'm surprised we don't see a barracks yet for Chipmunk. So it's full villagers, and Otter can just use his villagers to collect resources, and we see that reflected in the rest collected as well. Of course, the other advantage is that militia will auto-attack. Villagers will need to be clicked to attack. But Chipmunk did get control of at least 2 workshops. We'll have some idle villagers here and there protecting those. And Chipmunk doing a nice job of keeping off the pressure for now. Is not too far behind, only 1 villager death here, and that might have been to a boar. Was it over here? Might have been this boar that had been brought in. KD 1-5 in favor of Chipmunk. As we have militia versus villager, the friendly standoff. Militia being on stand ground and villagers simply not clicked to attack. Chipmunk though did manage to snag the workshop in the middle there. So now it's 4 workshops in favor of Chipmunk. Who is now almost 700 res collected behind. I think big part of that comes from all the villager fighting and not having the militia. Just having villagers idle here and there. So even though Otter does not have control of most of the workshops, I think I'd still prefer his position with the barracks. As we have villager on villager fighting. Chipmunk doesn't realize this villager is being attacked. Will need to be... needs to run away. Definitely can run away, but will need to be forced away and not just be left unattended. Yes, both players are getting set up for a bit more eco outside of the TC range. And Otter is definitely still producing his militia, not producing a lot of villagers anymore. Wants to click up to the feudal age, most likely. And there we go. Feudal age is on the way for Otter. As we have more villagers here fighting for Chipmunk. Militia is forced to run away, but I think Chipmunk will regain control of the trade workshop here. We'll give him control of 3 of the 4 trade workshops. Never mind, there is once again a low HP militia being annoying. Chipmunk on the way to the feudal age as well. Is still ahead in villager numbers. Still no barracks for him though. As we do see some farms being dropped, but I think it's starting to look like the militia here are getting too much of a numbers advantage for the villagers to be actively fighting them. I think this villager will make it safely to the TC though. And then this militia will surely... It will not die. It will simply run away. Where will Chipmunk place his barracks? As Otter reaches the feudal age, I would like to see the militia upgraded. Would also not be surprised if we simply see a range on the other side. There we go. Range on the other side as well. So we have the militia on the bottom that can be effective, and then the range on top. And still no barracks here for Chipmunk, who is going all in on the villager fighting, and I think the longer the game goes, the less advantageous that will be. But with only 2 men-at-arms on the field for Otter, maybe not the worst for now. As we have a market blacksmith here for Chipmunk. Wants to go fast castle. Does have the gold and food for it. Definitely needed to market a little bit. But Chipmunk will be the first one to click. Is going quite heavily on stone. Of course, the stone on this map all centered around the middle. We do finally see a barracks here for Chipmunk. As the men-at-arms are coming forward. Chipmunk trying to wall off the workshop. I don't think with the archers around it will be on time to wall it off. Will the barracks be denied? No, villagers will... Ooh, villager could potentially still die. We have a very low HP villager there. Barracks temporarily denied though. But the men-at-arms do find some value. Will still die to the amount of villagers here. Otter One also using the market quite heavily. Did sell all of his stone. And 6 on stone for Chipmunk. I don't think he will have the stone for a castle once he reaches Castle Age. But the RB numbers here for both players relatively low. Chipmunk still has his scout alive that is simply hiding behind one of these temple pagoda thingies. And I do think that Chipmunk here, using his villagers, it's definitely one of the reasons why the rest collected is so far ahead in favor of Otter. It's 1,000 more, while the trade workshops are quite equal. Of course, there is no way to see how much resources the workshops have brought in. As we now see the castle here, Chipmunk cannot see a lot of the archers, but the archers here do make it onto the stone. Knight, though, will make very short work of the men-at-arms. And Chipmunk is not in a terrible position. Maybe not making a lot of military in the feudal age will pay off for him. Otter One is not too far ahead in terms of eco count. And if we look at his base, he does have some farms here and there, so that is quite nice. But Knights on the gold here for Chipmunk. Otter needs to run away. Quick walls, stone walls. Of course, the camels will force the Knights away. But of course, the Berbers can make camels of their own, and the camel archers for Chipmunk will be quite strong as well. Stables, double stable on both sides, but I don't think the food eco is there. If we look at Chipmunk's food eco, finally starting to drop some farms. Still no horse color, once again quite late with that. No horse color for Otter as well. But overall, both players in a solid position. Like, neither one is too far ahead. And Eco KD can be confusing, but that is some, I think, just a few of the wildlife here and there. Maybe some forgotten boilers that caused the villagers to simply die. As we have camel on camel, we have some camel archers as well on the top. And the castle here in front will protect the workshop, but will not make it permanently Chipmunks with the building there, as we have more camel on camel action. No bloodlines for either player. Chipmunk with the attack. Otter One now getting the defense upgrade. Will also get bloodlines. That will be a massive help there. Knight versus the camels though, maybe not the best choice. That must have been a misclick. Or maybe Otter wants to send in the knights to raid, as we are quite heavily on stone here as well for Chipmunk on the bottom. Might want to start thinking about a castle here. Could potentially maybe even drop it more forward on one of Otter's TC. As we have a barracks here. Another one, in the wise words of DJ Khaled. Potentially to go for some pointy boys. Chipmunk will regain possession of the workshop, and now has possession of all of the workshops. At least for a short while. Will still need to run away from Otter's big army, but of course could simply run to his castle. For that though, he is running the wrong way. Will get bloodlines, will get husbandry as well. But for now, simply running away. Another TC here for Chipmunk. No extra TCs yet. Oh no, that's not true. This is a third TC for Otter as well. But both players protecting their eco a bit more with the extra TCs. Would also love to see Bodkin there. And Chipmunk not really chasing the army from Otter. As we see more stone being bought here for Chipmunk, and castle will go potentially here. But like I said, would love to see it a bit more forward. Army is definitely there. 4th TC for Chipmunk now. As we are approaching the 100 villager count for both players. Second armor coming in now for Otter. But Chipmunk very well set up. Game is paused. And looks like Otter's mouse went out for a second there. So Otter is trying to get his mouse sorted. As we did see a Bodkin arrow just coming in. Archer armor coming in as well for the camel archers. Camel archers will do great against the camels, will do good against the knights as well, and there we go. Would love to see these camel archers a bit more forward. We don't know about the mining camp yet though, so maybe not a reason yet to go forward too far. Chipmunk gets the castle up in front of the trade workshop, gives him a great position. Now get these villagers and make a siege workshop. Instead we go for another mining camp to get more stone. Camel archers on the other side still chilling though. And Otter once again has snuck something here to get the workshop between Chipmunk's TCs. And defensive castle here for the Otter One. Yeah, it looked quite rough in the early feudal age, maybe late dark age even. But Chipmunk going for the fast castle play, making it work. We'll need to send these villagers back to work. As Otter is slowly approaching the Imperial Age. Looks like Chipmunk wants to go there as well. Although Otter's gold count not really there to click up yet. Chipmunk's food count not really there. Still camel archers. Finally going forward. Could find at least 3 villager kills here. And there we go. Villagers sniped. Could potentially find more damage there. Otter desperately using the market, clicking up. There we go. Otter will be the first one to make it to the Imperial Age. Chipmunk though will be not too far behind this time. As we see Chipmunk's click. Would love to see ballistics as well for Chipmunk. As Chipmunk now runs away with the camel archers. Definitely found the damage I think that he needed to find there. Bringing the eco count in favor of him, though he is still behind in res collected. But does have the stone for another castle relatively soon. As we do have some of the knights attacking the monastery, not really finding the damage I think the knights would want to find. And this time a forward castle in front of the workshops, playing it relatively safe. Like I said, I would love to see a siege workshop with a ram. But Chipmunk's castle will range. These camel archers go inside, even more arrows would be fired out of it. And that would damage the castle from Otter even more. 1 minute for Chipmunk before feud or Imperial Age is in. 10 seconds now for Otter One, who is buying stone, wants to go for another castle. This one on the other side. I think Chipmunk has a good position to start pushing from the top. Here on the bottom though, might need to start thinking about something else, as we see Cashba coming in. His castles will work a bit faster. And I like that it's the back castle here. Castle will not be denied. We did snipe some army though. And Imperial Age is in. First thing we see is a trebuchet from the forward castle. One trebuchet not queued out of the bottom castle, on the top castle. And we see Elite Camel Archer Embracer before we see Ballistics. We did get all the eco upgrades here for Chipmunk. Otter One still missing Horse Collar this time around. So nice to see that it switched around. Would love to see this trap maybe a bit more on the hill to get that hill bonus. But villagers are coming forward to repair. Enough stone in the bank there for Chipmunk to keep repairing the castle. Although one trap, would love to see a few more. I think we are busy with trap production on the front here though. As Chipmunk finally is catching up with the rest collected. Has 3 of the 4 workshops here under his control. As we see a heavy camel rider for both players coming in. Trebuchet's finally being queued out of the castle here for Chipmunk. Chipmunk will keep his castle up most likely, although the camels here, Chipmunk realizes this is before heavy camel comes in for Otter. Feels like he has to make it work. Chipmunk will have the heavy camel upgrade advantage, and it feels like Otter is just throwing away all his army. Will snipe 2 trebuchets though. Castle still falls for Otter One. Chipmunk could send his heavy camels forward to try to deal with the trebuchets, but it is not enough. And the castle for both players here fall. In the meantime, castle for the Otter fell on top, and it feels like Otter has nothing left in the tank. Chipmunk taking game number 2. We'll go to a game number 3 here. The winner will take it all. And a very, very solid KD there for Chipmunk. And even though it looked a bit dodgy with all the villagers fighting in the beginning without the militia, ad win on your end. Ah, shit, I'm sorry. I thought I had ads disabled, but I think the game went on a bit too long. But that also probably means that for the next game, there should be 0 ads. Unless, of course, the players decide to really drag it out. And let's see if we are already... We are in a lobby, but not started yet. But very, very solid victory here for Chipmunk. Like we said, looked a bit dodgy. I will get rich. I don't think I will get rich with Twitch just yet. Don't have the numbers there for gonna get rich money. But thanks for hanging out, Schmabenko. Hope to see you again next stream, which will likely be Wednesday. As I can see, Otter, no castles left, is facing against the heavy camels from Chipmunk, who has control of 3 of the workshops. Although Otter did still finish with the rest collected lead. So definitely well played by him. I think part of that is not getting the upgrades there is why he maybe did not have the rest he needed for army. But both players going out for the side TCs on the wood lines to keep that safe. That is also maybe a questionable lumber camp, but at this point in the game, you want to just keep your villagers working. Don't really worry about it too much and maybe focus more on the army. But let's get back to the draft here as we had the Persians versus the Berbers. And it will be quick mats as our final game. And I would be very surprised to see the Aztecs here for Otter. So I think it's most likely gonna be Lithuanians. Lithuanians can, with the extra food, of course, immediately start pumping out a few extra militia in the Dark Age without having control of the workshops. And for Chipmunk, the Wu with the barracks will get a bit extra food as well, which will also help with the early militia. Don't think we will see Koreans though. I think the Koreans, maybe, it's a nice nomad civ, but I think in terms of the bonuses that the Wu give, not really what you would want, I think. As we will have 1 more minute before the spec delay is over. And it is indeed going to be the Wu versus the Lithuanians. In the final game, I don't think I will cast the Huggy versus Breakfast set. Today it is also getting quite hot in here. But I will get that on the list for Wednesday. Because it does sound like a fun set to cast as well. And spec delay should be over right now. So we are once again waiting for Capture Age to realize the game has started. And there we go. Game number 3. Chipmunk as the Wu versus Otter as the Lithuanians, and Otter placing his TC right in the middle of the map. It is at least on a wood line. Chipmunk taking a bit longer and puts himself maybe a bit in a corner as well. As we see 2 workshops already in control of the Otter One, who also goes for a barracks. And like I said, with that extra food, you can immediately start pumping out a few extra militia as well. Chipmunk, though, is doing the same thing, is of course getting the extra food from the barracks instead of from the PC. We'll keep a villager around, but I think we'll also be a bit later to getting his TC up. Not too much though, but both players relatively close, and I think the workshop in the back here should always be for Chipmunk. As Otter has 2 villagers finally reaching his TC. And I would not be surprised to see the 3rd one wandering around collecting workshops. As the rest collected here, even though villagers are still building TCs, already looking quite equal. And having that extra res usually means extra militias, and we indeed see militia for both players. Chipmunk still only 1 villager, but did manage to find out where Otter placed his TC. Otter has no clue where Chipmunk is just yet. But Otter ahead in terms of villagers, mainly because his TC went up a bit faster. And I think if we look at Otter's scouting, definitely in a good position to maybe start thinking about where is my opponent. Of course, Chipmunk having the scouting there could start planning for what he wants to do next. Although I think for now, definitely the plan should be... I think Chipmunk did see the workshop there being guarded. As we have militia on militia action. I think there is no hill bonus here, so it is whoever hits first. And Chipmunk's militia, 1 HP left. 1 HP left. As we have more militia on militia action here. Middle workshop gets taken by the villager who simply pokes the 1 HP militia. Otter One idling all of his villagers, probably to bring in a boar, no, to kill one of the Chipmunk militia. Chipmunk only 1 militia, 4 villagers, 8 villagers for Otter. Chipmunk kind of struggling here for food, could potentially bring in the boar. He does see the boar. I'm surprised he doesn't go for that. And Otter here struggling for food as well. It's definitely a tough situation where you want to be producing the militia and the villagers. So you need to find that balance. Chipmunk will see that boar being taken. And will bring in the boar of his own though. And Otter One has control of all but 1 of the workshops. As 1 more of Chipmunk's militia will fall. And this is a very interesting water generation around trade workshop. As we have no more militia in queue for Chipmunk, focusing now purely on the villagers. I did see another militia in queue there for Otter. Chipmunk, 1 more militia could definitely reclaim this one. As Otter One is bringing in more boars. For Chipmunk though, not a lot of boars around. Could potentially snag the one there on the left. Does see it as well. Is sending a villager. Could potentially find the militia there. And I think Otter should realize roughly where Chipmunk is. As we have militia versus villager. Villager takes the hill, so villager should be fine there. Although with more militia on the way, villager will need to be careful. 2 villagers going out to take a boar here. 1 villager and a low HP villager wisely being sent back. Chipmunk doing a good job of trying to contest the workshops. We'll need to garrison these villagers before the sheep is killed. We'll do so. We'll kill the boar. And these villagers can simply take out the militia there from Otter One. Although Otter One already almost 800 rests collected ahead because of the workshops. More militia fighting. This is of course where Otter's barracks is, so his reinforcements will be there instantly. And the low HP militia survives as well. That is quite fortunate for Otter. As Chipmunk now has control of 1 of the workshops. And it's not even the one in the back of his base. It's the one out on the far side. And I think Chipmunk might want to go for a dock around here. That's maybe why he sent the villagers there. Maybe this would be a better dock position if you want both villagers working. Villager lives on 1 HP, militia will die. But villager will need to run away. The next militia hops out, that villager is gone. As we have more militia being chased by villagers. Otter One is clicking up to the next H though. Or should be clicking up. There we go. And definitely should be tilting. I'm not sure where that villager went. Ah, there it is. It is a 1 HP docking villager now for Otter, who wants to diversify his food income. As we see Otter still having some of sheep under his TC, but definitely not the most efficient sheep under his TC. And Chipmunk is really struggling to get to the next age here. Only 50 food in the bank, one villager in queue is trying to still make something happen with the militia. Chipmunk though is ahead in eco count, so that should be worth something, but I think having control of only one of the workshops, and that being this one, definitely not what he would want. But I think Otter is simply a bit earlier with the workshop control. And this map is really good in spiraling out of control really fast if you don't have control of the workshops. As we can see here, Otter though, what will he do with the feudal age? Double bit X coming in. I don't see any buildings being placed. We don't see any eco upgrades or any military upgrades coming in. Only eco upgrade now, double bit X. I would have expected something like the man-at-arms upgrade as well. And it is indeed 1,000 res more collected in Dark Age. And Chipmunk definitely in a position where he, I think, will need to keep making militia, which will keep delaying his Dark Age. Oh, this is very nice. Losing all the militia there under the TC. And finally we see the man-at-arms upgrade coming in, and that will mean that the fights for Chipmunk will start to spiral more and more. Chipmunk though, with 6 fishing ships, will have a quite solid side food income. As the man-at-arms, they are just spread out on the map. Although some fishing ships could potentially eventually claim the trade workshop there. Chipmunk forced to go into Dark Age farms, definitely not what you want on nomad maps. As we have villager on militia. Ooh, that is once again a very low HP villager. This one though, will he make it to the TC? I don't think so. And a villager killed. Militia will run away at 3 HP. Of course, there is still a 1 HP villager there for Otter One. Don't think Chipmunk will find that one though. As Otter does know about Chipmunk's TC location. And Chipmunk, of course, does know about Otter's TC location. Does not know about Otter's dock position, as Chipmunk going for another dock. As we see the blacksmith coming up, market was already up as well. Not sure if I like the farms here on the front. Would love to see them a bit more in the back, so that the front can be a bit more securely walled. But Chipmunk is getting to a very nice villager lead. Has 8 fishing ships as well, compared to only 4 from Otter. And is still trying to make it happen. Knows that this game will be very hard for him. But is able to click up. And I do think that if Chipmunk is able to survive and get to the feudal age, he will be able to click up to the castle age immediately. After he, of course, places his buildings. Maybe not the most efficient shore fish out here. Would love to see this one being gathered instead. But this, of course, means that we have control of the workshop. As we are now running with the villagers because we did see the men-at-arms. And we, of course, running to fight, not running to the TC. Maybe not the best choice. And Maxi, welcome in. Thanks for the follow. You are currently witnessing the final game in the Otter versus Chipmunk set. As Chipmunk will reach village. Otter, though, has clicked up to the castle age already. Chipmunk does not have the wood here to make any of his buildings. Otter will get horse collar this game. Very nice change after the last game that he played, where Imperial Age does not mean horse collar, apparently. As we have one idle fishing ship here, keeping the trade workshop safe. That is a very nice touch there for Chipmunk. Trade workshop in the back, though, once again taken by Otter with a few of the men-at-arms. And Chipmunk choosing to go for more men-at-arms over going up to the castle age. I'm not sure if that is the correct play here. Otter is on stone, although he is going to stone quite late. So we'll not have the stone for a castle drop immediately. But we did get a stable or two there, so we will see knights for Otter One. Chipmunk almost there to click up, but is missing both of his buildings. Could potentially get a market to get the wood for the other building. We'll go for a blacksmith instead as first building. And it feels like we are reseeding farms here for Chipmunk when we should be making the market. And Otter wisely placing a few outposts. I think there should definitely be places where we can find damage with the knights. Knights with bloodlines, with armor, with forging. No relics yet for the Lithuanian player, so no extra attack. Knights, though, will do quite well against the men-at-arms. You can see here. And market blacksmith are up. We will get up to the castle age here for Chipmunk, who has the stone for a castle as well. Could potentially find a nice spot to drop that, maybe be able to quick wall that in as well. But I think Otter will find the stone to drop a castle of his own before Chipmunk reaches the castle age. And we do have a monk here to start collecting the relics. Not sure if I agree with swords is always the right play. Sometimes you also need pokey sticks. Where we see the pokey sticks coming out here for Chipmunk. And fires for Otter did manage to kill quite a bit of Chipmunk's water eco, as Chipmunk is now adding in a few hulks of his own. And there is the castle for Otter. Chipmunk not being able to place one of his own before Otter gets his one up. But looking at the stone count, Chipmunk can simply place 2 castles. But still, Chipmunk in a very rough position. About to reach the castle age here for Chipmunk. Sending all his villagers away. And we are going for a castle and a TC. Otter's knights, though, they are swarming. We'll find quite a few villager kills. That is 2 villagers down already. 3 villagers down. 4, 5, 6, 9, 11. The castle will complete, but at what cost? We have 17 villager kills here in favor of the Otter One, who was already in such a good position. And I think we could potentially find one more. There we go. One more. Two more villager kills. Oh, that feels very rough if you're Chipmunk. Very, very rough. As the latest are starting to come out, we do have 2 relics for the Lithuanian player, which means +2 free attack. Monk will most likely go for this relic next, I think. Otter should see that one, right? Otter does not see that relic. Oh, that is unfortunate. PC went down. I'm not sure if we deleted it. Let's quickly check that. I think we... Yeah, that surely was a delete. Although on 72 HP... Yeah, that was a delete. Let's speed up a bit to lifetime. And we simply replace that TC. We will replace another TC there on the gold to keep that safe as well. Hulk on fires. Hulk's though struggling a bit there to get the correct pathing. Monk here could potentially help out. Convert a ship or two. 3,000, almost 4,000 rats collected ahead for Otter One, who has also double the villager count there. As we're still just on Spearman here for Chipmunk. No pikeman upgrade yet. And definitely think that this would be the better position for the castle indeed, but I think also with the pressure from Otter, definitely you just want to place down that castle. And this castle protects a bit more of the back eco as well. Although of course it does give up basically the front of your base. The knight will not find the monk kill. So this monk will most likely bring home the 4th relic. And Otter still does not see that final relic over here. I think if he did, would potentially start the relic countdown. But for now, Otter is just content with booming and solidifying his position. Would like to see Chipmunk with a bit more aggression, but with 33 villagers, that will be very rough. As we now have the Mangonel sieging one of Chipmunk's TCs. As we have a pikeman versus man-at-arms. Pikeman with the hill bonus. Pikeman from Chipmunk also with the 2nd armor. So Chipmunk was perhaps thinking about the Giant Swordsman earlier. Simply could not get there on time before Otter got his castle up. Which, on also selling 500 stone for Chipmunk, was so close to another castle to potentially defend there. We convert 1 knight from Otter, that is nice. But I think this TC with 2 mangonels on it will not survive for much longer. And I'm not sure if fire archers without fletching can even range the castle without being hit. But we will see redemption here for Chipmunk. Chipmunk may be moving out a bit too early, because we are desperately trying to... Ooh, 2 mangonels. Take out 2 monks. This mangonel though will live. We'll shoot the monk once. Monk will live because upgrades are in. Redemption comes in. Chipmunk is out of wood. TC though will live for a bit longer. Chipmunk still only on 36 villagers though. As the Otter One has reached 80 eco units, 72 villagers and 8 fishing ships. Chipmunk though still trying, knowing he is behind. Did get control of the relic there, or not the relic, the trade workshop. The relic should be finally spotted for Otter. And I think we will see this monk bring in the relic. Now the question will be, will Chipmunk give up when he sees the relic countdown being started? As Otter decides, I don't care about your castle. I have armor, I have bloodlines, I can simply run in under the TC and kill more villagers. Chipmunk once again down to 32 villagers and Otter placing a very aggressive castle. And before that one is even placed, Chipmunk taps out, giving Otter the 2-1 win. And I think it came down to just the early workshop control. Maybe the TC position from Otter as well, being a bit more in the middle. GG's indeed to both Chipmunk and Otter. Yeah, if we go back, I think to like a few minutes before the game ended, not maybe, but this relic here was not scouted for like so long. That was the only relic that was missing, and I felt like it was so close to you spotting it. But apparently it took 35 minutes for you to spot the last relic. But well played to both of you. It was a very fun, very entertaining game. But I think the Dark Age, I think, tells the biggest story here, where we have, let's see, already when Otter clicks up, there is almost already 1,000 res collected ahead. Because of the early workshop control. I think Otter did a really good job. I think having his TC a bit more central also really helped him. Being able to simply move around the map a bit more. Chipmunk then kind of forced into a corner because the TC is so central from Otter as well. As the woo here for Chipmunk goes down, and the Lithuanian first pick for Otter manages to grab the lead, denying the reverse sweep from Chipmunk. As we have Otter with the 2-1 victory here. Well, maybe a snipe is not a bad idea, but for this tournament there is already too much chaos. I think with just the maps on their own that we wanted to make the draft a bit more standard. And yeah, in game one, definitely the Huskarls were good. But I think once we started spamming the champions, that's when Chipmunk kind of folded. Partly also because his forward castle just died before he could do anything with it. That was very unfortunate as well with the imp timing there. But overall, definitely a very, very fun set. Definitely well played to both players. And perhaps I will try to cast a few more sets of these players. Definitely they deliver in terms of entertainment. But for now, I will end this stream. I will not cast another set today. But I will be back on Wednesday to cast some more games. So be sure to check in on Wednesday, probably around 18 GMT once again. Unless I get an update on when the Andy versus Oladushak set is. If that is on Wednesday, I might do that live if it's on another time. Yeah, Andy is playing the league, so I assume I will reach out to players to see if they have it scheduled. I would not be surprised if it's scheduled already and just not posted in the confirmed games. So, Huggy in shambles, but I will cast the Huggy set on Wednesday, if it is not cast already. So, I will keep an eye out for that. But that will likely be the first set that will be cast on Wednesday. For now, I will find someone to raid. Let's see who is live. We have Doubt versus Freakin' Andy playing Rage Forest. And it looks like T West is casting that. We are on the last game of that set though. Let's see if there is anyone else. If we're just going to T West. I think we're just going to T West. And thanks for not wanting to steal my content, although definitely it's an open casting event, so feel free if you want to cast the set. Just cast it. But if you do cast it, try to react with like a camera icon or something so that other people know what sets are and are not cast yet. Also, that is for the players so they know if they miss like notifications or anything that the set has been cast. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Like I said, I will be back on Wednesday. So hopefully see you guys then. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day, night, evening. And hopefully see you guys on Wednesday. Bye bye.